Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a warm welcome to the luncheon of the 2023 Yushan Forum. First of all, we would like to welcome the host of today's luncheon, Dr. Xinhuang Michael Xiao, Chairman of Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation, to give us the remarks. Please. A warm welcome, please.
I do not wish to interrupt your lunch. It's supposed to be a good lunch. And before we start our lunch, as speaker, we are very privileged and happy to have the special guest, our Vice Premier, Cheng Wen-tsan, to the lunch. So before I introduce our keynote, the luncheon speaker, I would like to invite Vice Premier Cheng Wen-tsan to say a few words of greeting. Please welcome Dr. Cheng Wen-tsan.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vice Premier.
主办单位台湾亚洲交流基金会肖兴煌董事长，我们今天的 keynote speaker Alessandro Minuto-Rizzo， 北约前副秘书长，还有印度国家海洋事务基金会这个 Cheng 秘书长，美国太平洋论坛荣誉主席 R.O.C 主席，日本财团执行长Ichiro 执行长。外交部田中光次长，北美事务司司长，各位贵宾，大家好，大家午安。
Mr. Xiao Xinhuang, Chairman of the Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation, the organizer of the event, Senor Alessandro Minuto-Rizzo, former Deputy Secretary General of NATO, Dr. R.O.C, Mr. Ichiro Kawasawa, Deputy Minister Tian Zhongguang, Director General Yuan, ladies and gentlemen and friends from afar, good afternoon.
今天玉山论坛的午宴能够邀请到北约副秘书长的演讲，促进区域安全的许多的经验，我想应该是非常有收获的。
I believe that with in the invitation of Senor Minuto-Rizzo and with his keynote speech on regional security, we'll certainly learn a great deal from today's keynote speech.
玉山论坛是从2017年开始举办，已经成为印太地区讨论区域合作的重要的论坛，那也证明台湾在新南向政策的前瞻性以及重要性。我们希望把新南向政策，那么跟印太安全能够结合。
The Yushan Forum started its first organizing in 2017, and since then, the Yushan Forum has become an important platform for the discussion on regional security and also the Indo-Pacific region security. And of course, lately, we have seen the foresight and the importance of Taiwan's latest development in the new Southbound Policy. So we can say in confidence that with the successes of the policy, we can see more achievements in the security of in the Indo-Pacific region.
那么在蔡总统7年多的执政，那么以新南向国家的投资来计算，去年跟今年，对新南向投资都超过中国。那么2022年的这个增加的这个贸易总额是1803亿美元，跟2016年的958亿美元，那成长88%。可以讲新南向是台湾在区域的经贸合作非常重要的伙伴。
In terms of economics and trade, under President Tsai for 7 years, our investments to the new Southbound Policy countries and partners in both the previous year and this year have exceeded our investments in China. And of course, if you look at the total trade volume with new Southbound Policy countries, this volume increased from 95.8 billion US dollars in 2016 all the way to 180.3 billion US dollars in 2022, and we saw a growth rate of 88.2%. So we can see the largest growth rate in trade volume in new Southbound Policy countries, and this is certainly a great key engine for our development.
这7年多来，我们跟新南向18个国家签订了120个这个合作备忘录，那涵盖了这个层面非常广泛。那我们希望未来在医疗、农业、防灾、数位、产业、工程、移民等方面，能够有更坚韧的合作。
Over the past 7 years, we have signed over 120 MOUs with 18 countries, covering a wide range in such fields as medicine, agriculture, finance, engineering, disaster prevention, public security, immigration, and many more. And these MOUs showcase just how closely we cooperate with our new Southbound Policy partners.
那么在教育以及人才交流方面，那么新南向国家到台湾的移工已经超过74万人。那么在留学生也超过68000人，那我想这个新南向的人才对台湾的进一步的发展是非常重要的。
In terms of education and talents, we can see more than 740,000 workers from new Southbound Policy countries working in Taiwan. And international students in Taiwan from new Southbound Policy countries have more than doubled to 68,000 people. So we can see just how important those Southeast Asian countries are to us.
那么蔡总统说，台湾是这个区域上最重要的一个议题，也是最重要的答案。台湾的安全牵动到区域安全跟这个重要的供应链的安全。
Just like President Tsai remarked, that Taiwan is the solution to the regional challenge that the world faces, and Taiwan is the most trustworthy and reliable partner in the global supply chains. And together with our partners, we safeguard the peace and stability in the region.
那么在经济上，台湾是全球供应链当中非常重要而且值得信赖的伙伴，而且也是全球以规则为基础的经贸体系的拥护者。
In economics, Taiwan is the most important and most trustworthy and reliable partner in the global supply chains. And also we also we play the role of safeguarding the peace and stability of the regional order and rules-based international order.
那么台湾在区域安全上也是一个民主的标杆。那么我们支持印太地区的开放、自由与繁荣。我相信这些价值是我们在新南向国家共同的价值。
And in regional security, Taiwan is a beacon for global democracy and also a shield for a free and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. And therefore, we must work with our new Southbound Policy partners to jointly uphold these precious values.
那么，透过新南向政策，我们希望台湾的安全，跟新南向、跟印太地区的安全，都可以做最好的结合。那这是台湾给世界的承诺，也是我们的责任。
Of course, I believe that with the new Southbound Policy in place, we can perfectly combine Taiwan security with the security of the Indo-Pacific region. This is our commitment to the international community and also our consensus on this issue.
谢谢玉山论坛，也谢谢肖兴王董事长。那么这个论坛的举办，希望能够让我们志同道合的伙伴一起走得更远。
Thank you, Yushan Forum, and thank you, Chairman Xiao, for organizing this wonderful event. Because with this event, of course, that we can use this as a platform to bring like-minded partners closer together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Premier, for your wonderful remarks. Please return to your seats. Next, we would like to welcome back to the stage TAEF Chairman Xiao to introduce our keynote speaker. Please.
Vice Premier of Executive Yuan, Wen-tsan, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day. On behalf of the Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation, I would like to thank everyone to attend the second day luncheon speech. I believe that you have already enjoyed the fruitful discussion so far. I also believe that the presentations and discussions can be of great significance to shape the future of Asian development. We are privileged and honored to invite a special guest, Ambassador Minuto-Rizzo, sounds like Italian, right? to be our speaker and share with his insight. Ambassador Alessandro Minuto-Rizzo is currently serving as the president of NATO Defense College Foundation in Rome, Italy. He has been serving in foreign services, including the head of the External Relations Office of the EEC, and importantly, Deputy Secretary General of the NATO between 2001 and 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our great honor to invite Ambassador to give a keynote, the luncheon speech. Before that, we will follow the Minister Wu and Deputy Minister Cheng's offer to present a small gift to you, but not bear.
Please. President Minuto-Rizzo, please come up to the stage. So this is tea from Taiwan.
Good afternoon, I think. I know in Italian would say good morning, but perhaps good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, I would like to thank for the exquisite hospitality that I have been given by the authorities of Taiwan. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very happy to speak to such a distinguished audience, which is not very usual to find around the world, and not only in Asia. I know also the responsibility to be standing between my speech and the lunch, but I hope that we will make a good agreement on that after my speech. So thank you very much again. What I would like to underline is the security framework in which we live. This is the bulk of my intervention. Security, NATO, the European Union, the Indo-Pacific, where we are, you know, in general terms, because many people speak about that, they don't know exactly what we're talking about. So I will try to be clear as much as I can. We live in a world that is very different from the traditional one. We have been accustomed for a long time, because we have fast change, new threats and opportunities, and the multilateral system is more strained than in the past. What is also new is the number of actors in the international scene. From an historical point of view, in the past, there were only a few actors, mainly in the North Hemisphere, and interplay was visible according to simple criteria. Today we see many voices in the world that want to be heard. We live in a everybody's world, in a way, where there is little governance and where the search for peace and security is not easy. Peace and stability are the most important objectives to aim to, and security providers are in short supply, unfortunately. The complex world demands a very different approach, one that has been aptly resumed in the cat metaphor of one of your famous Taiwan female diplomats, meaning the need for balance, agility, flexibility, and prudence. The Atlantic Alliance and the European Union are the leading security suppliers, I think, that prefer deterrence, dialogue, and prevention instead of rushing blindly into confrontation and ultimately disastrous wars. Their names are often recalled, but not many people are aware of the real functioning. This is especially important today, since a major war, as we know, has broken out in Europe, calling for unprecedented actions to defend not only European but global security and to strengthen a geopolitical posture. Looking at the basic features of NATO, the Atlantic Alliance, the founding treaty written in 1949 is perhaps 2 pages long. I think 1 page, probably maybe 2. It is a political military organization in disorder, based on the political will of its members to do certain things together, to be decided. In this respect, it is very different from the European Union, based on detailed text evolved during the years. NATO has a minimal common budget, which is not well known, because it is an alliance in the traditional sense. Its most important activities are financed directly by nations, and it means that every nation takes its responsibility and has to pay for the role it wishes to have, which is an important criteria. This approach differs from the European Union, based on a big common budget where nations try to draw resources. In other words, NATO has no pretension to be supranational. The owners of the organizations are really the governments. The consequence is that consensus is very important, and in fact, the only form of decision-making, because voting is not in use. Consensus, and not strong-arm tactics, is the daily basis for decision-making in the alliance. A body where even the smallest member has his say in a simple system of balances that keeps freedom within the organization. And the motto is a free spirit in deliberations, a Latin motto. So in conclusion, political will is the real nature of the alliance. The military side, contrary to what many people think, is not governing, and it is clearly under civilian rule, namely, in the first instance, the North Atlantic Council. The real guide to the functioning of NATO, in practical terms, not only the big principles, I mean, it is the strategic concept. It is useful to resume of the main tasks of the organization, and it is revised every 10 years or so. The present strategic concept has been adopted a year ago in a summit of the Alliance in Madrid. For over 70 years, the strategic concept has assured the security of allied countries. And its adoption in an updated version comes at a critical moment today for international peace and stability. Because we found out, I hope that you agree with me, the priority is now identified in the resolve against the aggression of the Russian Federation on Ukraine. An invasion that violates international law as well as international humanitarian law. The overall purpose remains ensuring collective defense based on a 360 degrees approach. The new strategic concept underlines that national and collective resilience is critical in all the core tasks. The three tasks, the core tasks, remain the traditional ones, just for your memory, defense and deterrence, crisis prevention and crisis management, and finally, cooperative security, connecting with different parts of the world. It may be of some interest for you. First of all, it remains the essential transatlantic forum to consult and coordinate on matters related to common issues of security. As I say, the strategic environment is not good. Quite the contrary, because the Russian Federation has violated the principles that are at the basis of a predictable and viable European security order. It is to be noted that NATO, historically, does not seek confrontation and does not seek to pose a threat. It is very important. Besides this first note, we see that terrorism is an asymmetric threat to security, to peace, to prosperity. We see non-state groups and terrorist networks active in various areas of the world to exploit conflict and weak governance. We see something going on now in Israel, something around this problem. Fragile institutions, food insecurity, and other emergencies affect the situation in the Middle East, North Africa, and the Sahel region. Increased instability is a denser possibilities, ladies and gentlemen. The strategic concept notes, among other things, that the People's Republic of China uses a lot of tools, political, economic, and military, to increase its global footprint. It is potentially dangerous, but NATO remains open to a dialogue, including to build reciprocal constructive transparency. The task of the terrorist defense is based on a mix of conventional space and cyber capabilities. It is defensive and fully in line with international commitments. Another important area covered by the strategic concept that I would like to relate to you, because it's not always said, is one of the 5 technologies that bring both opportunities and risk, since they acquire greater strategic importance and are becoming key elements in the global competition which is underway under our eyes. The strategic concept lists a number of objectives. I don't want to go into many details. I just speak like maritime security as a key to peace and prosperity, digital transformation, resilience against military and non-military threats, strategic stability, fight against terrorism. So you see a certain number of objectives which are central to global security. The second basic goal consists in the anticipation and prevention of crises and conflicts. Very important. It includes human security and the protection of civilians. It has to be kept in mind that NATO has a long experience of expertise acquired in 7 decades, a long time, of management of these and related risks. Coordination and cooperation with the United Nations, European Union, and regional organizations is underway and will be reinforced. Cooperative security is also a fundamental task. It is clear that the open door policy of NATO has been a success, but partnerships are important. Political dialogue and practical cooperation based on mutual respect contribute to stability. Partnerships are crucial to protect the global commons and uphold the rules-based international order. Partners can contribute to crisis management of the alliance, and the alliance has the objective to ensure engagement and interoperability with partners who express an interest. A few words about the European Union, because things are connected in a way. The European Union is unique and has a special place because NATO allies and the European Union members share the same values and almost the same partnership about, if you exclude North America, about the same kind, the same countries. They play complementarity and mutually reinforcing roles for the cause of international peace and security. This strategic partnership will be enhanced through political consultations and other means in order to face emerging threats. And NATO recognizes the value of a stronger European defense. The Western Balkans and the Black Sea are of strategic importance, while other areas traditionally relevant are, which is obvious, the Middle East, North Africa, and now also the Sahel region, especially in recent time. This strategic concept refers also to the Indo-Pacific, among the tasks that I have enumerated before. It is an important region for NATO, given that development in this region can directly affect Euro-Atlantic security. The stated intention is, open quotes, to strengthen dialogue and cooperation with new and existing partners in the Indo-Pacific, to tackle cross-regional challenges and shared security interests, end quote. The Vilnius Summit. The Summit of Heads of State and Government, which took place in Vilnius in last July, has reaffirmed that allies are bound by shared values of, and I repeat again, this is very important, individual liberty, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Underlying that it takes place at a critical time for our security and international peace and stability. This was said last July, it is only 3 or 4 months ago. It is no surprise that the bulk of the communique is focused on the threat coming from the Russian Federation after its unprovoked, illegal, and unjustifiable aggression of a peaceful country like Ukraine. The Russian Federation represents at present the most significant and direct threat to Allied security and to peace and stability in the Euro-Atlantic region. It also says that EU-NATO cooperation has become more significant in the context of Russia's war of aggression. On the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, conflict, fragility, instability in Africa and the Middle East directly affect global security as well. And the final communique of the heads of state and government adds that the stated ambitions and cohesive policies of the People's Republic of China challenge our security, interests, and values. But NATO remains open to constructive engagement with PRC, including to build reciprocal transparency with a view to safeguarding the alliance security interests. So, opening to dialogue. Without going into further details, it has to be noted that the Indo-Pacific is important in many ways. It's not something new, but perhaps something new for NATO. Given that developments in the region can directly affect global security and the Euro-Atlantic security. The contribution of partners in the Asia-Pacific region are welcome, namely, at present, those of Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and the Republic of Korea. And by the way, their prime ministers were invited to the summit in Vilnius and in Madrid last year. So it's something which is underway somehow. Dialogue and cooperation will be further strengthened to tackle shared security challenges, underpinned by a shared commitment to upholding international law and the rules-based international order. We have never to forget that. Coming to a conclusion on the relevant features of the Atlantic Alliance, we can say without doubt, I think, that it's an organization of success. Why? The treaty, the Washington Treaty in 1949, was signed by 12 nations. Now the number of members is 31 nations. And to these countries, you have to add 39 partners around the world with different formats and different arrangements. So you have a very large array of member countries and partners. The alliance has evolved along the years, adapting to the new circumstances all the time. And just before the war in Ukraine, was engaged in a process of reform which was called NATO 2030, which was interrupted, if you like, by the war. The first target regarded the political aspect of this reform, long-term reform of NATO, meaning improved consultation and decision-making, identifying priorities, discussions about relevant security matters, and the best use of existing resources. I repeat, because this is important, that before having a military component, NATO is a political alliance. It is a process that will go on and is gearing up toward the next summit, which is going to take place in Washington next May, marking the 75th anniversary of this alliance, which is the longest alliance in human history. I have a few words about the European Union security component. It is not the same thing, but it's closely associated. The European Union has evolved over the years in a number of treaties, and in recent years, it has added and developed a security dimension, adopting what is called, a couple of years ago, a strategic compass for security and defense. It details how the Union and its member states will strengthen this dimension. The ambition is to become a more assertive security provider, better prepared to face threats and challenges. I'm speaking now about the European Union. The starting assumption is that the world is changing drastically and rapidly, and I think we all concur with that. A major war has broken out in Europe, asking for immediate, unprecedented actions, defending security with willing partners. It was unforeseen, unwanted, and the unjustified aggression of Russia has obliged the European Union to show an unprecedented resolve. Resilience, ensured solidarity, and mutual assurances are therefore primary objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, for the Indo-Pacific region, the basis of the relationship with the European Union strategy for cooperation was adopted 2 years ago. It is clearly stated that the European Union wishes to increase its engagement with the region, with this region, to build partnerships that reinforce the rules-based international order, we repeat always the same principles, and engage based on promoting democracy, the rule of law, and human rights. This is a strong basis for a mutually beneficial relationship in the long term. The decision identifies 7 main priorities: sustainable and inclusive prosperity, green transition, ocean governance, digital partnerships, security and defense, and human security. It's a long list, but it is evident, however, that an engagement of the European Union with Indo-Pacific partners is already underway and is going to become more concrete as an evolving context. I gave the example of the objective to build more resilient and sustainable global value chains. It has been also said in this conference yesterday and today, by diversifying economic relations, by developing technological standards that are in line with EU values and principles. In this line of thought, I thought it was also worth today to have a brief look at the last summit of the European Union, which took place on June 30, 2023. Among other issues, there is a reference to security and defense. The European Council, which I mean the head of state and government, recalls the need to strengthen the technological and industrial basis for the European defense sector in a new strategic environment, requiring defense readiness and a significant increase in its capacity to take more responsibility for its own defense. So this is a language that is slightly different, but going in the same direction with the NATO, the Atlantic Alliance that I explained before. The European Council of June 30 also concluded reaffirming the European Union multifaceted approach toward the People's Republic of China. Since it has to interact simultaneously, and it is said in this way, opening quotes, with a partner, a competitor, and a systemic rival. The language that is used looks at the future, as you can hear, in a balanced way around these three concepts, and it's clearly an evolving attitude, calling for an engagement to be verified in the next few years. And finally, the European Union and Taiwan. From an overall point of view, the European Union and Taiwan have developed a good relationship. Yearly commercial consultations take place, as well as a dialogue on industrial policy and on digital economy. Taiwan is about number 4 as a commercial partner in Asia for Europe. The European Parliament, on its side, has formally addressed relations with Taiwan in a positive spirit, recognizing the island and Taiwan as a functional democracy and a potential partner for increased cooperation. Coming to the conclusion of this intervention, there seems to be a consensus in the Euro-Atlantic institutions that Taiwan has a vibrant civil society, and I can verify this in these days, a cutting-edge economy, and the government of Taiwan adopts a proactive pragmatism as a general line of action, which is very welcome. It also acts as a responsible stakeholder in the Pacific region, charting course between extremes, open to dialogue and de-escalation of tension, willing to work in an Asian, multi-level, concrete environment. There is surely the possibility to cooperate towards the common good at global level by avoiding dangerous escalations and working together at United Nations level and even more limited formats to tackle evident global challenges that outpace the capabilities of a single nation or a group of nations. The European Union and NATO will surely contribute also at this wider level. So let me conclude with a final sentence, ladies and gentlemen. NATO and the European Union are in the end following quite closely what has been appropriately expressed by the President Wen-tsan of Taiwan, opening the quotes, "We will do everything in our power to make sure cross-strait stability becomes the driving force for peace in the Asia-Pacific region." End of the quotes. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, President Minuto-Rizzo, for your insights as well as your strong support for Taiwan. Thank you. Please return to your seat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Xiao would like to invite everyone to join a toast.
Oh, okay.
So please raise your glass. Cheers. Cheers. Bon appetit.